Hey guys, this is Obsidian Chill. We got another video for today, and this is actually coming from the test server. So a short while ago, they released the Elite Plus content for episode 44, Sins of Black Adam, on test server. So all in all, it's only been on test for about 5 days. It launched last week, but then there's a couple days where it was removed from test server. So it's been a very short life on test server. I think the idea behind that was that they wanted to have this out before the developers take their Christmas break. So if you're kind of new to the game, day break, dimensional link, everything, they always take like a large Christmas break towards like the middle, towards end of December, then don't come back until like second week of January or so when the anniversary event comes out. So typically you'd have a much longer life on test server, especially for, I think, for Elite content or Elite Plus content. You want to make sure that it's not as buggy. And personally, for the Source Wall Elite Plus, it was very, very overtuned. It's in a better spot now, but I mean, when it released, it was ridiculous. I mean, I think it even took like a few weeks before groups passed the first boss, just because all the damage from the statues were all super overtuned. So this is basically the first rendition we have of Elite Plus where I guess you could say feedback was taken, because I mean there was no testing really done for Source Wall Elite Plus, just because there wasn't really any groups available. So we have Elite Plus for the Alert, we have Elite Plus for the first raid, Rock of Eternity, which is what this one is, and then we have Elite Plus for Neuron's Underworld. So this is from the point of view of a tank on Rock of Eternity Elite Plus. Forgive me, I may be a little bit fuzzy on some of the Elite mechanics. I haven't really farmed this DLC as much on live. I was waiting for 2x Mark Week, which is coming this week, up the week before Christmas. Which is a little bit unfortunate timing. I guess I'll have to, for me, I'm a huge Christmas guy, so I spend time with family, and it's just like, I'm all about that Christmas spirit. So really the last thing I did want to do is to farm DC raids all day, but I'll have to carve out some few days for that. So essentially, the Elite Plus leading up to this with just the ads, the exact same thing. Honestly, I have a video footage of the Elite Plus Alert, and the Elite Plus Alert feels like regular almost. Like I was not in any danger from dying from ads. The ads in Elite Plus did hit a lot harder in the beginning, and now we have the Felix Faust fight. So like I said before, I may miss some mechanics or I may duplicate mechanics that were actually in Elite, but with Felix Faust, really the only thing that does change, you will see that we are running 2 tanks in this setup, is that the ads are much more of an issue. Because it's, I mean, unless you're, say, like if you're an atomic tank, it's somewhat more reliable then, because you can hit mass density and at least shield the group. But even with like a Superman shield, the healer's doing it, you're still going to have players at the risk of dying, just because you physically can't pull enough ads from all those corners. Like I've basically trying to pull as fast as my power storm cooldown solo tanking it, because damage wise you could certainly 100% solo this. The damage for this Elite Plus is much drastically lower than what we're used to with Source Wall Elite Plus. It's debatable whether or not the damage feels like Elite Plus versus Elite. To me, I think the damage feels the same as Elite, maybe a little bit higher, but there are some new mechanics added. So right now, the reason why we have to run 2 tanks for the ads is that there's basically two new ad subsets. There's one called the Soulless Drainer. The Soulless Drainer, think of it similar to the bot from Survival Mode, where it doesn't explode, but it does this kind of pulse beam effect on you. The issue with the Soulless Drainer is that as soon as it hits you, you are instantly out of supercharge. It drains your supercharge 100%, and then in terms of power reduction, you'll see like, I think there's a few times where I hit it before the other tank grabbed it, but it's like, it takes like a third or so of your power every single tick. So it's basically, you run into the situation if you're solo tanking it, you can't pull the ads because A, you're out of supercharge, which doesn't really matter. Like I said, like you could juggle the ads and it's not really a risk of dying, but then you have no power. So you have no power to pull the ads, you have no power to properly tank and juggle the ads, and then it runs into a huge mess. So really, I'm sure groups will figure it out, but honestly, a 2 tank setup with this was a lot better for Faust. The second subset of ads is the Soulless Sniper. So the sniper is similar to the sniper from TDSE, or the 6th Dimension Elite. With this one, I believe it was the sniper went off and killed someone, it explodes. So this one's a lot different, where before the sniper was just, it would kill you as a player if it was lunged properly, or basically knocked up or CC'd. Now this time with the solo sniper, that it goes off, there's this soulless blast that basically wipes the entire group, especially use a tank. So I'm not sure if it's a scripted one-shot, but it definitely enfolded me as a tank. So that's the second reason for a second tank. Just with the amount of ads, because it seems like each ad wave comes out, the ads are increased, which is what I'm not sure about. I can't remember from my last times running Rock of Eternity, but to me, at least it felt like the ads were a lot more increased in terms of how the waves came out. But I could be wrong on that. But either way, it's just with the two soulless drainers, the soulless sniper, you have to make sure it's just a lot to handle as a solo tank. I'm sure it'll be figured out by other tanks as the Elite Plus progresses. But it's one of those things where it's just like ridiculously more safer. Because I mean, if you have two tanks, it's pretty much hard to fail. The third aspect, this is a normal mechanic, but the Felix Faust wake up is much more annoying, because there'll be plenty of moments in this one where I hit multiple times on him. I hit lasso on him, backdraft, stoke flames, whatever. I've taunted him 100%, and done that in time. Here's an example of the power being drained. So it's not a huge drain, but like I said, if you're solo tanking, you're continually hit by that soulless drainer. It's not too long before you're out of power, especially because you're spamming pulls in all 5 corners of the room. But yeah, like I said, it's just it's this Elite Plus is certainly going to. I mean, Rock of Eternity, this Elite Plus is going to be pugged for sure. So it's a drastic difference in difficulty compared to the Elite Plus that we're used to. Which, in terms of that being a bad thing or not, that's going to be debatable. I mean, for the endgame community, the reason why we like Elite Plus is looking for that, extreme difficulty to keep us busy. I mean, there's still plenty of feats in Elite Plus, Source Wall Elite Plus, that haven't been completed. I mean, that no death feat, groups are trying for that, but even getting past no death, the no death feat on second boss is a challenge. And then there's the We Run the Knights, where you have to kill all the Dark Knights within a few seconds, within like 10 seconds of each other. I mean, or is it 5 seconds? I think it's 5 seconds. But even that feat's even harder than no death. So certainly, if you're looking for a comparison's sake in terms of how this elite content, even Neuro's Underworld, which we ran as well on test server, if you're looking for a comparison, it's night and day difference between Source Wall Elite Plus. So that's either that one of two things happened. Either the Elite Plus content they found on test server, or not test server, but in terms of general, way overtuned, and they saw the completion rates like terrible, which makes sense because there's not. I mean, you're certainly not going to pug Source Wall Elite Plus. A lot of temp groups tried it, being in there for hours, and it just didn't work out. In the beginning, nowadays, people running Source Wall Elite Plus, now that we have the increased gear from the new DLC, you're seeing much more completions. But it's going to boil down to where the issue that we have with Elite Plus being so short on test server is that there's no way that they buff this after the fact. So they're going to see all the completion rates percentages go up. They're going to think, oh, we did a good job with Elite Plus, more people are beating it. But at the same time, it's also easy. So really, there's no challenge to those groups. I mean, you can pretty much solo tank this. It's just the ads and mechanics that make it a little bit difficult. And then you've got Neuro's Underworld, which, I mean, you could still 2-tank. I mean, it's not like Source Wall Elite Plus where you need like 4 tanks. And then all the difficulty was on the tanks in those fights, where these raids, the difficulty is not on the tanks, the difficulty is more on the group for survivability. So in terms of Black Alice, in terms of her mechanics changing, you would have already seen these like purple pools on the ground. They also spawn on you, so if you jump in the air like I do sometimes with tanking, which is just a reflex of mine, I know some people bring it up in videos, they'll spawn in the air. It's a delayed, it's like a 400k tick, it'll take like half your health. It's a delayed damage tick, so you don't really have to worry about staying in it. You've got plenty of time to move. The issue is that the purple pools will heal Black Alice. So you're constantly, I don't know if it was like less than 30 seconds, 20-30 seconds when they spawn, but they continually spawn on you as the tank, so then you have to basically range tank Black Alice so that the pools spawn on you, and then you're not within range of Black Alice kind of floating over the pools. Because it's not like you can drag Black Alice around. You can do it to like a somewhat extent, but it's not like she's going to continually pull to you. So basically you have to range to tank her so that she either lunges you or kind of floats towards you. And then you have to make sure we're avoiding that pool. Other than that, I'm trying to think. There's no ads that come up in the Black Atlas fight, so that's why it's easily solo tankable. There is that's one of the new mechanics. So from the alert here. Oh, actually, I did end up dying. Oh, I was just put for the win there. Didn't remember if I died in this clip. But there is, you'll see here in the background where they fired that a trail. I forget what was the alert name. It was the one from Royal War. Oh yeah, the Royal War alert. I think that's what it was. But I think it's like the Aphrodites, when the statue of Aphrodites came out, they fired that magic on you that tracks you. So if you stood in the same place, the damage is just going to stack up and kill you. Same concept here. You have to move around. You don't have to like move around like really quickly. It's just you have to move around enough so that the trail doesn't stick up on you. So same thing. Your all the damage is increased. The damage values is increased in Elite Plus. So that's why you have to make sure you're spread out from the lightning. The other thing is, typically with the cages, you would pop like a Superman shield or immunity on the group for that. But the voice cues are gone. We found that she keeps saying like I don't like you, and that's when she spawns like the pools and everything else. So I think with how many new voice prompts that Black Atlas has, it keeps pushing back the voice prompt. Yeah, she's like I do not like you. Every time she says that, it spawns like either pool on you or a cage or something, or like another mechanic in the room. So I think the voice cues are basically building up and pushing back all the other ones. So you can't really rely on that anymore, which is definitely a change. So it's much harder to kind of gauge when those cages are going to come out, so people don't have immunity for them and break out. So even though the difficulty-wise of Elite Plus hasn't tuned up, it's more difficult on the group because all the kind of group mechanics are being kind of tuned up damage-wise. So it's going to be very difficult to solo Elite Plus, but this is what we basically have. Some new mechanics, and we'll have to see how everyone plays out.